All right, welcome to another edition of One Mic. It's good to have you here. Thank you for supporting us. Please go to realsportsguys.com to check out all things RSG, as well as you can catch us on social media, on all social media platforms, Real Sports Guys. We got a pretty heavy show. We're gonna get into it, but I'm gonna bring my co-host into the show with me. Let me start with the youngin, Darnell Kirkland Jr. wearing the Jackson State stuff up there, knowing we got a family ball player at Bethune Cookman, but I'm gonna let you go today. At least you support the HBCU. It's all love.
Yeah, yeah, it's all HBCU love going on. Yeah, we do have our cousin up at Bethune Cookman, but hey, Bethune Cookman got to show me a little bit more. They got to show me. I'm always support my cousin, but at the end of the day, if we talking about that administration, they got to show me a little bit more.
Yeah, they got some work to do over there. We can get into that a little deeper, but you always got to support the young folks on the ground, even in the midst of all the stuff. That's it, and they holding it down. Even in the midst of it, their team is still holding it down. So she just dropped a little bit. She was leading score in the SWAC. She'll get back. She'll get those numbers back on Saturday. So we'll be there. And we got my man Hammer. I hope both y'all up there in that winter craziness up in there. I know, Hammer, you ready to get out of there to fly south. How you doing?
I'm doing well, brother. But I've been out the house in 2 days, so um,
It's,
yeah, because it's too treacherous out there, man. It's just
it's
too crazy out
treacherous,
there.
man.
Yeah. It's got ice and snow and put together and just awful, man. Just awful.
Yeah, I had a funny story. My partner's a volleyball coach and was out in Vegas recruiting and connected with one of her friends who one of the teams from Hawaii, and the player found a player, and the player was already heading to the Midwest to visit Purdue, just
Hmm.
for school, and was talking to her about playing volleyball. And so she's on campus in Beloit. This is the day. So she's still out in the combines working, but she got a player on campus. I was like, as if you get this recruit, you won. You done. You pulled some magic off. You get the right athlete showing her around. If she says yes after today, when we going through, I'm like, she's coming today. Oh, this is the worst days ever to come. But I guess you have to figure it out one way or another. We just hope we get you. We need a middle blocker. So yeah, I'm glad, man. I just got out of that. Like my plane literally left at 6:55 in the morning yesterday, and then everything shut down probably like 2 or 3 hours later. Your flights were getting canceled out. I just felt good, but it's always good to have y'all on. We're doing well. We got a lot going on, and so we're gonna get right into it here in the open mic. Everybody's been talking about what's going on in Alabama. Um, a lot of debate whether or not Brandon Miller should have played last night. He put up, obviously huge numbers. This is a lottery pick top. You can put him in any range in 2, 3, 4, but involved in a tragic incident that took the life of. I want to make sure I got the name correct. Jamea Harris. She's 23 years old. I think she had a child as well.
5 year old,
Huh?
yeah.
What?
5 year old,
Yep,
5
yep.
year old.
5 year old, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of speculation about Brandon's role. His attorneys come out and talked about he didn't know anything and kind of came in, but and we can get into the facts of the case. But the question was, what should he really play last night? And Nate Oates kind of came out initially and you know, chose the wrong words in his initial reaction, obviously, and had some backlash about that. But there's been a lot of debate about it, and so we haven't had a chance to talk about it. But I want to kind of get that out here because I know we've been going back and forth on it. I'll start with you, Darnell, then come over to you, Hammer. Just kind of your reaction to how the administration in Alabama's handled this situation, and what they probably should have done.
Yeah, Nate Oates, what he said definitely, didn't come off well. He said they clarified. He said that he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and to look at the case, that's not necessarily what happened. Even though um, what the attorney is saying that he that his teammate had lied to him. I guess he said, "Hey," I guess his teammate said, "Well, my life is in danger. Can you give me this gun or whatever, or my gun?" That's what I heard. But as far as my understanding, because I don't know, obviously don't know everything, but from what I know is that the evidence that we just heard of yesterday or 2 days ago is not new to anybody else, right? So all this stuff, the police knew all this stuff when it first happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Nate Oates and the university and the athletic program has no miss since it happened months and months ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not this isn't new to anything to anybody there. So I think from their point of view, they're like, well, he's not in trouble with the law, and you know, we've already known this kind of stuff. So what is new now? But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, when you're talking about the public and being sensitive to what's going on, um, you could argue that it's in their best interest for them not to play him, especially
Mm-hmm.
last night when everything was fresh.
Yeah, Hammer, your thoughts before I jump in.
It's an unfortunate situation as far as the young man and the optics, as Darnell said. But I think the main thing you look at is that, um, yeah, I mean, why? There are a lot of questions. Why are you carrying a gun for your guy? Why you got a gun? You're a lottery pick. I mean, you're a sensational player. Why are you putting your life in the line? And you're around a gun. I mean, we're down talking about the South. He's from Tennessee, but I just a lot of the questions are going to be, this young man's character and also this young man's judgment as far as who's he hanging around with. And even though they can't prove that he knew what was going to happen, why is he carrying a gun? Why is he carrying a concealed gun? There's a lot of things that, and then Oates, like Darnell said, just very poor judgment as far as what he said. Really didn't show any empathy for the young lady. And you look at some of the facts, underlying facts that Darnell hasn't talked about. I'll talk about is it basically what's alleged to happen is that the young man killed this woman because she spurned their advances in front of when she was with her boyfriend. So this is brazen as far as this type of thing. And so first thing that comes to my mind, an NBA GM and or just agent or anyone in general, is why are you hanging around with people with guns? Why are you hanging around with people with the potential to kill people? And why are you again with so much on the line, putting yourself in bad situations? In downtown Tuscaloosa, putting your life on the line when you should be playing basketball. So yeah, so that's why I just the young man just made poor decisions. And it's gonna hurt him as far as no one. I mean, even though he might be a lottery pick, no one's gonna want to have him, market their goods. Like I said, he was with the murder. So it's really unfortunate that these young brothers making bad decisions and have so much promise, like Brandon Miller, putting on the line. Just makes no sense to me.
Yeah. So I learned a lesson a long time ago. I remember the whole thing that came up with Jalen Rose being in the crack house. I learned a lot. Let the details come out. I've got to the point where let the details come out. And so I'm not going to jump too much to judgment on a lot of these things, even though they're beginning to come out. But I do think there are teachable, educational moments where the educators and the adults in there got to say, "Look, y'all, let's take a step back." Even if that meant he didn't play last night, he played, in a couple nights. But let's take a step. Sometimes teachers we got to take a step back, and that part for me, I think they failed. But when I watched that game last night, I could only think about Jalen going to Illinois. I think it was Illinois after all that stuff came out, and Jalen put on a show, and he went for 41 last night. There's a lot of stuff in here, and it just got me saying, let me sit back and make sure I understand all the facts before I make a judgment on who this man is and not is, who he isn't. And so the other thing got me thinking about is Dean Smith, the quote, and I'm not gonna get it right. When Dean Smith looked up out on the court and realized his future was decided by decisions of 18 to 21-year-olds, and he was doing that back in the time when he probably said that back in the time when there was no technology, right? It was like at most he might have said it when there might have been some beepers, and that kind of stuff. But to manage lives right now with some of these young folks, and the fact that, cats are sometimes emulating what they're seeing. We see a number of young brothers who are rappers who get slain by other folks. Like there's a way in which violence is being portrayed, and how people are acting in these spaces that, we got to really do some work here. But I'm not going to make any judgment on him until I understand all the facts. But I do think there could have been a chance for the coach and the other folks to say, hey, we need to take a step back. We'll have you play Saturday night, but tonight we just need to. The best place for you to be is just settle down, and we just need to understand this. And that's I think there's a lesson in that for a lot of folks, that we're not too concerned about the immediate stuff. Sometimes we got to take the high road, and I think they could have done that, just for him being in that swirl. And so, I think there's ways they could have handled this a little bit better. I'm gonna wait to see how this unfolds. The bottom line is, like, I think, Hammer, you hit it, like, if what you said is alleged, we got to be better at this. Like, these aren't the kind of things that should be going down.
Yeah.
And we should be on these young brothers, all some stuff. Like, if this is true, like, look, like, what are we talking about? Like, what are we talking about? And we need to be we need to be thinking about, how do we work upstream to get folks to where they're not doing this kind of stuff? Because this is a young person that you just, over whatever it is, an impulse, if that's true, you basically you shattered a whole bunch of lives over this. And these kind of impulse decisions, we got to we got to be doing something about that. So it's unfortunate. A lot of things to think about on this, but it just makes me, as someone who is working with a lot of young folks, and Hammer and I have been through enough of these things. Like, we got young folks who are on campuses but got one foot hustling. Like, and I used to tell them, like, I used to tell cats, look, if you're gonna hustle, you gotta pick one lane. You either got to do this academic thing, or you got to do the real thing. But if you're gonna do it 100%, you can't do both. I used to have like, you can't do both. Now, I'm not telling you which one you should do, because you know where I'm thinking you should be. But if you're gonna do it, you can't split both these worlds. And you and I know, we've watched young cats trying to split these worlds in ways that they can't be doing it. And I've had some tough conversations with a number of young brothers about this. Straightforward, no chaser. And we feel like we need to have more of those kind of things. And so, we'll be watching this situation. I agree. I think the adults, or the administrators in that situation, should have been. There's times for patience. And patience is a great thing. Take a step back. He he was obviously emotional last night when he was playing, because he went for all of it. And it just reminded me of that moment of when Jalen went to Illinois. After everything everybody was saying about him, and he let, and the fans of Illinois were on him. He performed, and on the court, he is definitely a lottery pick. But in life, that other stuff, you gotta get that organized. All right, we gonna come back to that, and we'll watch it as it goes. But we're gonna go to the association, because things are happening in the association. All right, so I think Darnell. I don't know if Darnell, you pulled this up, but I think this is They said the MVP straw poll has Jokic leading the MVP votes, but 70% of the media votes. I think that's what they said.
77 out of 100.
Out of 100. So
first place votes with the Jokic.
So, it's a good question about what this means historically for Jokic. And I'll start. I got an opinion on this. I think what it means will all do to me what it would look like. If he gets it, because right now I feel like it's a regular season award. Yeah. If he gets it, what it means is going to have a lot to do with what he does in the playoffs. You got to get a chip. He's got to put a chip together with this. Now, I know it's not his fault, because he's had some injuries, some teammates, and he's done it. And he's done his thing in the playoffs. But I feel like he's got to get a chip with one of these, or he's got to at least make a finals appearance, right? Or it feels like empty calories to me. So that's my position. Hamrock, what do you think about this? If Jokic gets his third MVP,
it's just a better Steve Nash, taller and better Steve Nash. That's all. Playing something.
I was about to say that. I knew you could.
I mean, the one thing I mean, you can't knock his game, but again, if you don't win chips, that's the bottom line. Is winning chips, and Jokic is a phenomenal player, and he's come from second round, best second rounder ever, probably best draft pick ever you look at. But still, and we're gonna say Jamal Murray was out, things like that. But yeah, now it's time to put up a shove. It's time to do a run and run with the Denver Nuggets and Coach Malone and put this into a chip. And if you don't put it into a chip, then basically it's like you said, a regular season award. It's a Steve Nash award, Steve Nash plus award, basically. You only have three, but as far as I'm concerned, Giannis Antetokounmpo is my MVP. He plays both sides of the court. Phenomenal. He can do everything on the court. And the Bucks, I think, will win the title. So I think that's the main thing that I'm looking at as far as MVP. But again, not his game. It's tremendous stats as well, averaging triple double. But Russell Westbrook had triple double. So he didn't win no chip. So yeah. So that's where I have at right now. Show me a championship, Jokic. That's the main thing. So.
What's your Darnell? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing as you guys. Like, all is forgiven. You know what I'm saying? If they have a great postseason run, win the championship, whatever. Like you said, if they go to the finals, makes it close in the championship. Then that justifies it. Makes it look good. But if they don't, if he wins again and they don't make it, or if they lose, not I'm gonna say if they don't make it, if they lose in the first or second round again, right? That's pretty much what we're saying. Like if they have a crash and burn ending like that, it'll look kind of bad because just the way it's all like we know, yeah, it is a regular season award, but at a point, it's always been, the media always looks back at winning, like, okay, you're doing this in the regular season, but are you really the MVP of the league if you haven't won? Like I remember Stephen A. Smith going on First Take when Giannis, after Giannis won back-to-back MVP, he said, I'm not voting for this guy until he said, I don't care what he does in the regular season. I'm not voting for him until he wins a chip. And I think that narrative has changed, you know what I'm saying? And but
yeah, I think did Bird win 3?
he did. He won 3 straight, but he won championships.
He won championships with that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. 84, 85, 86. He won it.
Yes, that's what we talk about. That's what we talk about, Jokic. You got to have the Bird formula.
And then Bill Russell won 3 in a row, and then Bill Russell won 3 in a row championships.
Yeah, so there's a chip in there somewhere.
3 in a row, you usually have to be, you used to have to be that. Like you have to be that guy in the league. Like Michael Jordan was that guy in the league, and he didn't win 3 in a row. They gave one of them to Charles. They gave another one to Carl on the second, Carl Malone in the second 3-peat. He didn't get his 3 in a row. LeBron should have won like 7 in a row.
Yeah,
we're being honest. Like from 07 on to like 2014. You know what I'm saying? You could argue he was the MVP, but it's just that's the way of the world. Like Earth, Wind, and Fire says.
Yeah, I know we talked about Giannis. I mean, I would say Jason Tatum, if he finishes strong. I mean, his team has been there. He's been putting up numbers. He plays both ends of the court. He's had teammates who are injured. He had to come and play and do his thing. So I put Tatum in there. So I'm hoping people aren't just falling in love with Jokic and not looking at Embiid. Embiid gave him work. Embiid's team has still been near the top of the East over there as well. So I hope that 77% over here. I'm like, Jokic is performing, but the gap isn't. You would think that's the kind of thing you would have for Jordan, right? You was like, because he just not only doing it, but he was winning the chips, right? He wasn't even getting 77%.
But you know what that is? It's the advanced analytics. Those advanced numbers.
Yeah.
He performs great in them because he has great efficiency, and there's no knock on him because you have to actually do something to get those to get those stats don't make them so. But at the end of the day, when you look at a lot of these advanced analytics, a lot of the analytics stuff, a lot of it is heavily weighted towards the offensive side of the court.
Yeah.
When you see these big numbers, right? guys like him because there's no real part of offense that he can't do, right? So
Mm-hmm.
he's always going to fare well in that. But then what happens if Giannis is still averaging like 32, 13, and 5, and on top of that he's one of, if not the best defender in the league, right?
Yeah,
So what and what when does that defensive side of the court start to factor in?
yeah.
And that's the question I think we have to ask ourselves.
And that should be something that should elevate. When you have folks who are in that same conversation, you should start looking to the other side of the ball as something that separates, right? And this is where the qualitative part comes. I mean, people are getting lazy. They just want to go with, the analytics, but they don't want to do the other part of the work. And you almost have to have a mixed method approach to this. You got to bring in some of the qualitative aspects, and understand that, that is a form of methodology that, the nerds don't like to do, because I can get to a whole bunch of reasons why, and has and we can talk a little bit about privilege with some of these things in terms of what people value in terms of this stuff, and the way it's allowed folks to actually build careers off of this stuff. But that's another day. We have to bring Dr. Williams in. You talk about that with us, and we'll break this thing down. But I think y'all hitting on a whole bunch of stuff, and I love to dig into that. My man Nate McMillan, man, I love Nate, but they abandoned ship on him. I mean, this team was the hottest team on the rise. He got them in the right place, and then you start hearing just craziness coming out. Collins talking about, well, he probably would be better for a veteran team. That means y'all didn't want to listen. Y'all didn't really want to do real work. He would, y'all that meant to tell me y'all don't even want to do the hard work. Y'all want somebody to massage y'all ego. I don't know what that means, but I just can't. I mean, I love Nate, and you know, where do you think the problem lies? Let me go. You've been down here in Atlanta, Hammer. You've been
Yeah,
in the streets.
that's
Where do
all
you
I'm
think the
aware.
problem lies?
The problem they're coddling Trey Young. They're coddling John Collins. They're misusing AJ Griffin. The team is just really. I think it's lack of leadership. Landry Fields is really a big problem. I think as far as making sure getting the assets that Nate can coach and letting him. It seems like again that they were supporting Trey, supporting John Collins to the detriment of Nate McMillan, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate as far as and this is a guy who took over as interim and want to run to the Eastern Conference Finals. And now all of a sudden he's a bad coach because they got Doug Murray, and I just think it's ridiculous. So they talk about getting Quinn Snyder. Yeah, I mean Quinn Snyder's the type of guy. He's great. I mean, but he hasn't gone on the chip or anything like that. So I just think that again, it's letting the players run the team instead of the coach running the team, and that's a problem in the NBA, the modern NBA right now. Players get to choose where they want to go. Players get to choose where to get traded. Players just control everything. And the coach has to really coddle people and either they coddle them and either say he's weak or they don't coddle him too much. They say he's too hard. So it's just ridiculous. So Nate, again, it's not a veteran team, Mr. Collins. It's more the fact it's a mature team. You're an immature team. And that's what I've seen from this Hawks team. They really doesn't have a true leader on the floor. You think Trey Young, but Trey Young has one foot in LA. Everyone knows that. So he didn't want to be in Atlanta. So that's a problem. So.
All right, Darnell, man, it was all good just 2 years ago. I mean, man.
So what was the question?
It said, when we talk about who do you blame? Whose fault? What's going on?
Oh, in Atlanta, man.
Yeah.
Shoot, it's a mix of things. It's not always one. Well, it's always more than one thing that goes into it. But yeah, there is some truth with the Trey Young thing. That man, like guys like that has always been the man. You know what I'm saying? Like they have their sort of ego and that kind of thing. Especially a guy like that has the ball all the time. Like um, he it's no secret he was clashing with the coach. And you know what? I'm gonna go with Trey Young. To be honest with you, this is coach number. Is this coach number 2 or coach number 3?
3 now with the
This is
interim.
this is
With
coach
Punty,
number
yes,
3.
number
Like,
3, yeah.
and sometimes, like at the end of the day, it can't always be everybody else's fault. You know what I'm saying? So I think I gotta say it's
Trey
Trey.
just want to do Trey. He don't want to play no D. He don't want to share no line. Come,
That's the
let's be
problem.
real with it.
Yeah.
They bring you a bona fide backcourt mate. You can't figure out how to make that work. I mean, that's all the coach. At the end of
Oh.
the day, it's about locker room policing. And see, this is where the GMs mess up. In these GMs who think they're too cool. Sometimes you need to have an old vet in that locker room getting that stuff right.
Yep.
And there's some wisdom when you got a coach like this. Now, it not to mean that Nate could have done some things different, but my instinct is, you know, these young cats had a direct line to the GM and the ownership, and they feel like they go right to the principal. They have to sit, they have to listen to the teacher, right? And anytime
Mm-hmm.
you don't have any accountability in the locker room, what GMs start to learn is they got to find a balance between that. You got to have an ear that always pushes it back to the coach. Man, I understand what you're saying. At the end of the day, we got to do it this way. Like, you got to find a way to get that tight, and y'all got to have it tight. If you don't, you're not going to win. And it's I hate when coaches like, well, it wasn't just him; it was a whole bunch of other people. Blah blah blah. That means you wasn't doing your job as GM to hold this stuff together. Trey just looked like he feeling himself. He had a nice little run in New York with and all this stuff playing, and he feel like he got to a point. I'm a superstar. Yeah, you're heading that way, but you hadn't got that way place in it. Your team is struggling, and that can't just be about coaching. That got to be about you. So I'm gonna look at where this is going. And the crazy thing about it is Quinn gonna come in and they're gonna give Quinn everything that Nate should have
Mm-hmm.
had. See,
Mm-hmm. Preach.
that's what's gonna happen. They're gonna
Preach.
give
Preach.
they gonna give Quinn everything that Nate should have had, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh it's gonna be problematic. And I feel because we see this stuff happen all the time. And so, I know I'm down here in the ATL. I'm putting my ear to the streets, but man, I'm putting that one on the players. Collins, you too good, but you ain't been performing, baby.
Nope.
You ain't.
No, you're not.
You haven't performed. Who you blaming
Mm.
on that? Who you blaming? And so it's like, but when I heard with his comments, it's like, okay, you really didn't want to be pushed. That's what it
Mm.
is.
No.
You soft, man. You didn't want to be pushed. You didn't want to be pushed. You don't like people talking to you directly, making you feel uncomfortable. But that's what greatness requires. Even Mike let himself get coached. If Mike can let himself get coached, then you should be able to let yourself get coached. Kobe let himself get coached. I mean, people at some point let themselves get coached. Great players know they got to get coached. And so it disturbs me that my brother gets hit with this again. But you can't get hit with the banana in the tailpipe. So we'll keep it rolling. All right. So, hey, fellas, I'm gonna take our little thing off here. I got a call from the Baltimore Ravens, y'all. They're asking for RSG Consulting to help out the Ravens. I think they said we tried everything. We heard, that maybe it was through a referral through the Harbaugh family, but they need help, y'all. And so I'm gonna use this time to figure out how can we help the Ravens close this deal? What should they be doing? What's the problem? What should be the solution? Yeah, before I go back to them with a proposal in terms of how we want to make this, how we want to try to help them close this deal. What would be your pathway to doing this? All right, I'm gonna start with you, Darnell, and I'm gonna come to you, Hammer. I need some ideas before we go back to talk to the Ravens, because at some point, if they come to us, that means they've tried everything. We're the closers.
Hey, pay the man. Just pay the man. Child Monkey, they brought Child Monkey in. Child Monkey believes in him. He's drinking the Kool Aid. Let's see. Well, now I'm thinking about it, but I'm with me, I believe that he can make it work with Todd Monken in that system. Todd Monken knows how to use those tight ends. That's that's a strength of this team. And Lamar Jackson loves to throw to Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely and them. I think they can build a really good offense in Baltimore. So I think um, I think a long term investment in Lamar Jackson would be worth it. But I see, like, I understand if they franchise him this year and then try to just see how it goes and then go from there. But if I'm the Ravens, I'm paying them.
Mm. All right, I'm not quite sure. They came to me one of the solutions where they weren't trying to do 100% of the deal, but you saying to pay them. All right, Hammer. I got to hear what you got to say.
Trade him. He's been injury prone. He's not bought into the culture there. I think bringing Tom Munkin tells me they want a new quarterback. I mean, you would stay with Greg Roman if you would want, because he's the guy that really crafted a system for Lamar's talent. So Todd's a different type of coach. So I think really that's volumes that they're going to go to a more of a drop back passer, more classic passer. Lamar is a phenomenal talented guy, but I can pay a guy who we don't know he's going to show up, and also who's just too reckless with his body. He needs to throw the ball more, not run the ball as much. It's kind of like the third year with Justin Fields, Chicago. We need to see more throwing than running, but he keeps on running like he's a 20 or 19-year-old Heisman Trophy winner in Louisville, and not the 25-year-old he is, which is young, but not young for football, young man. You want
Yeah,
to hit
but
away.
He was throwing a lot more at Louisville because he probably had better.
Oh, he was
He
throwing
probably
a lot more in
he
Louisville.
had better receivers in college than he had in the pros.
Well, I ain't gonna say that. Now,
He
come on,
might
you
have
don't
some
put
better
down
receivers in
no,
college than he had in the
no, no,
pros.
no.
He
He
was
got
throwing the
good.
ball, and he had a good
Receivers.
coach.
Yeah, but he's always
Who
hurt,
had a good
man. I
offense.
just would not. I would not co-sign on again his lack of durability. I would go. They're talking about Miami, they're talking about other places, but yeah, I think you just give him the highest bidder. You franchise him; he's too talented of a guy. You start over. You got Harbaugh is going to be there as long as he wants, and so yeah, I think a new quarterback there needs to be a divorce. Not a national divorce like somebody said, a divorce. So and that's what they need to be because they're not on the same page, man. And the Todd Monken hiring makes me think that really they're not on the same page because you don't bring Todd Monken to coach Lamar Jackson. You bring Todd Monken to
Yes,
coach someone else.
yeah, but I would
So
disagree. Go ahead, Darnell. What was your rebuttal?
the thing I like to say is don't give me don't come with me with problems without solutions. So
That's what I'm saying.
who is this new quarterback that you want the Ravens to go get after Lamar
Uh,
Jackson?
I get somebody that's more durable. I don't know. We have to see who's available right now, or we have to see who's in the draft. Tom Muck's a guy who knows the college game. They might have somebody won the draft. They might trade for somebody, but I just think Lamar has been banged up, and last year shows he just can't stay healthy, and so he wants to get
I mean,
paid
they're
even though he can't stay
47.
healthy.
They're 47-15 with Lamar.
Oh,
I
again, I'm
mean, I
not
mean,
questioning
he's
Lamar.
been healthy.
Lamar is a
He's had a couple of. I mean, he hasn't missed any more games than Joe Burrow over his career. Joe
well,
Burrow been the whole season.
Burrow got getting knocked out with the knee injury, so that's not even good.
Yeah, but
That's one
we're talking
thing.
about.
As I
That's
said,
it's an injury. It ain't like
he's injured every
he's
year,
not
bro.
injured
Every
every
year.
year. I
Yes,
think
he
you're overplaying it,
is.
man.
He is
I think you're
every
overplaying that one.
year. Every year.
I'm overplaying it, and I
He's
believe he
very. He
might
should be
have come
throwing the
back if the
ball
money
more.
was
He should be
right.
throwing. I want to see
He's played.
Lamar
How
do
many
like.
times has he played hurt for them?
Oh, he's played a lot hurt, but he's been
And
hurt because he's running too much.
what I want to ask you, what have they given him as offensive weapons over the time he's been there?
That's a problem. I'm
What's
not
a
gonna
Pro
deny that at
Bowl?
all.
What Pro
I'm
Bowl?
not gonna. I'm not gonna deny that at all.
Compare his crew to Joe Burrow's crew. Is it any comparison?
It's not even comparison. But
Is his receiving
again,
crew even comparable to?
but he's still getting hurt, man. The main
It
thing,
ain't.
Burrow
Why is he
got
getting
hurt.
hurt? Because they ask him to do more than everybody else.
He
They
needs to
ask him
do
to
like
do
he did
more.
that year. He threw
They've been
30
trying to
plus
cut corners.
touchdowns, and he needs to get back to that type of
But
Lamar. He
whose
stayed
fault is that?
healthy.
That's the
He stayed
GM's
healthy
fault.
that way. He's not healthy when he's running the ball all the time,
Look,
and you know that.
you think he
And
would
I
be
wouldn't,
going to
I
the
wouldn't,
people?
I
You think
wouldn't, I wouldn't co-sign $300 million on.
If Ozzie Newsome was the
Ozzie
GM
Newsome's
through his
retired,
career,
man. He's retired.
Ozzie drafted him. But if
Yeah,
Ozzie was
but
the
Ozzie's
GM,
retired, man.
but I'm saying if Ozzie was the GM, do you think he would be worried about receivers? No, that's the GM's fault.
And ownership, I
He
think they're
didn't bring
not
up any
putting in.
talent. Every
They're
other
not.
scenario, we would blame the GM for not bringing talent. Hell, we even blame you in Chicago. You might blame the GM for not bringing talent.
Oh, we
Every other,
blame the GM
with
all day.
Lamar,
Yeah.
we don't blame the GM. Why is that? And I'm
Because it's a
saying it's close
combination.
quarters.
I'll take Lamar. I'll take Darnell's thing. It's a combination of two problems. Yes, GM is not brought in the type of personnel, but also Lamar's run too much. So it's
But
problems on both
the
sides.
second one is created by the first one.
No,
Yes,
because
it
I
is.
saw a
You
year
got
that
to
he
run
had
too much if you don't have the
the
talent.
most touchdowns he had. When the year he had the most touchdowns, he was healthy because he was he was throwing the ball. When he runs the ball too much,
But
that's when he gets hurt.
when I asked you who he had to throw to, you wouldn't give me anybody.
Oh, Mark Andrews. That's one. That's
That's
sad.
one
I mean,
person. If you're a
well,
defensive player, knowing he got
Mark
to
can
throw,
go. Mark can go.
yes,
Mark's
but
still catching the ball.
you got one weapon.
Mark is killing
telling me one weapon, and you running
it.
while he
Mark
running.
killing it. Mark killing it. Mark killing
But
it. So,
but you running while he running. So this is my thought. This is what I would
and
do.
they let Hollywood go. They trade Hollywood.
This is what I would do.
But, yeah.
This is what I would do. I would stress. I would give him what I would give him. I might make the overall deal 275, 80. Guaranteed, but over a little bit longer time. Stretch the money. Because the thing that I like is that the cap is going to go up every year. That's going to be old money in 3 years. You're going to have enough room to do what you need to do in 3 years. So I would stretch it out. I would make, in the end, he gets to say he's the highest paid. We stretch the money at a time when we know the money going to be going up. That's what I would do. And so it's not fully guaranteed, but the guaranteed money he got is above the place he's trying to do, but it's stretched out over a little bit more time. That's what I do. Now, if he can't come with me on that, then we might be doing what you're talking about, Hammer. We might be doing.
He's a signing bonus, so not the length of the contract, because that's going to be a lot of money that's going to be non-guaranteed money. So you talk about the guaranteed money. That's
no, we talking about guaranteed, but the guaranteed money can be. It's just a signing bonus, but it's over time that money's guaranteed. Money's gonna be guaranteed. You give him a nice bonus up front.
It's going to cap it though.
Give him some good
That's
money.
That's another thing too. You're not going to get with that type of cap hit and his lack of durability.
But you already said he's done less. He's done more with less. Y'all ain't giving him no more.
He's getting
hurt. Got the same roster, so you might as well put on. You ain't spending on no receivers. Spend it on him. Right?
I think they're not aggressive enough on the receivers. So
I mean, hope that the cast they got develop. Because then the money gonna start making sense in 1 or 2 years anyway, if you structure it the right way. Because the cap is going up.
I think Lamar needs to change the scenery. Go back home to Miami.
Ravens have found a way to pay everybody else.
That's true.
So
I think they see the people they paid as durable people. Yeah.
No, folks. I bet you look up there. Some of them cats got hurt. I mean, Lamar is more than durable. I mean, recency. You got a little recency bias going on, but if you look over total his career, you don't play those many games and not be durable. You're not like 47-15, pretty good record.
It is, but
that's a lot of games.
But I need him to play more though. If I'm paying that.
What do you mean play more? How many other quarterbacks have played that many games? He's up there pretty good. He's up there.
62 in 5 years. That's not great. 62 in 5 years. So that's not good. You're missing like 4 or 5 games.
Other players have.
Well, the first year he didn't start right away.
He didn't start.
That's
right
true.
away.
That's true. But look at his record. But still, he missed what 7 games last year. Come on now. I just think, like I said, he's an exciting player, but I wouldn't pay him that big money. I'd be paying him.
I can't go back.
I franchise him. I franchise him twice.
We're gonna get fired before we get hired, man. That ain't the answer to look for. We're gonna get fired before we get hired.
No, I think they want to see. I think they want to see somebody tell them again uncomfortable, which is trading.
I'm gonna tell you right now. This is Baltimore. They trade Lamar Jackson, and then they go down. Somebody's house getting burned up. If we tell them that, I'm gonna say hide your cat, hide your dog.
They want with Joe Flacco. They want with Joe Flacco.
I'm gonna say
that's nothing about winning. He ain't won that.
I'm gonna say
5 years.
He's an MVP, man. How old is he?
25 years old.
25 years old. He's already got MVP. None of the cats you talking about got that. Come on, man.
How many playoff victories he got? How many playoff victories?
So what you want me to do is go back and tell him to hide the cat. That's what you're trying to do.
No, when
I'm gonna say, look, this is our suggestion.
Giz made assets
and make sure you protect everybody.
Giz made assets for him, and then
You
get a
saw
new
the
quarterback.
wire, right?
I
Cat
can
gonna
see
end up in
why.
vacants. The cat gonna end up in some vacants, messing around with you, Darnell. The cat's gonna end up in some vacants, messing around with Hammer. You might mess around and see Marlowe. You might see Marlowe off of this one. We can't come back with that
That's
record.
fiction, mostly. Some of it's real. It's based on real events. But yeah.
It's built on some true story stuff. Now
We ain't talking about
come on now.
football. We
They
talking
got
about
some.
the drug
All right,
game.
I'm gonna say this. It was Groundhog's Day. Aaron Rodgers came out, didn't see his shadow, and now we dealing with all kinds of snow and stuff in the Midwest. He done shut down the whole Midwest. He came out of that darkness retreat, and now we dealing with bad weather. I'm blaming on you, Aaron. You done shut down the entire Midwest. You affected 40 states coming out of there. So we got Aaron Rodgers coming out the darkness retreat. I don't know what to say, but I don't know why we even got this on this, but we'll talk about it. All right, Hammer, I'm gonna let you go. You over there, your team, you over there at that Central, along with Darnell. What's gonna happen with Aaron Rodgers?
It's a good trade. I think that you don't draft a guy like Jordan Love and hold on to 4 years and not play him. So I think they need to get assets for him, especially the fact that Aaron went down last year. He didn't play as well. He had a bad thumb, and I think it's time for again. He's had a wonderful career. It's time for him to be traded. He didn't work out with his wide receiver mates last year. He threw him on the bus, and except for Randall Cobb, obviously. But yeah, but you talk about the kids like Watson. They need to be with him and work. So he's not all in with the Packers, and so he needs to go somewhere, either Las Vegas with Devontae or the Jets. We're gonna have Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore, two wide receivers, and and just again let Jordan Love era begin. You don't draft a guy first round, you don't trade for a guy first round, you're not gonna play him, and so it's time for the Jordan Love era to begin. And it's time for the Aaron Rodgers era to end. And
See, that right there, Darnell, that sounds like a Chicago Bear fan who just hope
Jordan
he get
Love.
as far away from the division as
no,
possible
Have
because
you
we need to
watched
start
Jordan
winning.
Love play?
Huh?
Have
What
you
you say?
watched Jordan Love play?
yeah, I
This
have.
is,
But
this
again,
is the same GM that would trade away Lamar Jackson. He would trade Lamar Jackson for Jordan Love because he will play more games.
no, because
No,
you have a 38, 39-year-old guy. You want to get assets, man. You want to get assets for him, and also that's what you want to do. You want to start over. You went to finish 8-9 last year. You didn't make the playoffs. It's time to start over, man. It's time to start over and get and see what you have in Jordan Love. If you don't have anything, then you move on. The draft next year is even better as far as quarterback prospects
But I
go.
think a
You got
lot of that
Caleb
has to
Williams
do
already
with
talking
their
about
negotiating
where he
his
wants to
contract.
go.
They got him on a contract. He's gonna be able to work the spring with his young receivers. You got
He
a
didn't do that
full
last year.
off season with a seat.
He didn't work the spring with him last year, man. He ain't gonna do that.
Well, were
That's
they
the
going
problem.
through all the contract stuff last year?
No, they were not. They signed early, man.
I
He
don't know.
dissed all those young brothers and did not work
So I
out.
want to bring him to the Jets so he disses Wilson and
No, I think
doesn't
you're
do the
wrong.
stuff. So I want to have that problem now.
I think again,
I'm staying away from that. He's
no.
not gonna
I
come and
think
work out with them. He got to work out
no,
with these cats.
no. 18 years in the same place. He wants
That's
something
not
different.
him. But I'm saying he's got to go and he's got to be dedicated to developing whatever team he goes to. And if he's not going to do that
Well,
work,
I
why am
think
I taking it?
more. They're not rookies. You're talking about. Garrett Wilson's a skilled player,
No,
and
but that you got to build timing. Even all great players do
yeah,
all
and
they do that off
I think
season work.
Rodgers will do it. He needs to trade to make him. He's
I'm
got to be
not taking it.
comfortable.
I'm not
It's
taking
too
it.
comfortable.
If he's not coming to do
Oh,
that work, I
please,
ain't taking it.
Nathaniel Hackett, take him in a
I'm
second, please.
not the Jets. I'm not taking him.
You got Nathaniel Hackett.
I'm like,
You got Nathaniel Hackett for a
I'm
reason,
like,
man. Come on
I'm
now.
like, you must have come out of the darkness sideways. I can't take you.
I mean, guy couldn't
I'm
call
taking a
plays.
guy who's
Guy
going
couldn't
to
call plays.
darkness retreats.
Yeah. Again, man,
I ain't doing
he's
it.
kooky, but
I ain't doing
look at
it.
the stat, amazing.
I
Yeah,
ain't
look
doing
at
it.
the stats.
Darnell, I'm on the phone like I'm not performing the banana in the tailpipe. I'm just not gonna fall for the banana in the tailpipe, baby. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. All right, Darnell, you tell me what you do. What's gonna
man,
happen with this?
it's Groundhog's Day. Nothing's gonna change. They're gonna do all this posturing, and we're gonna look in the fall, and he's gonna be in a green and yellow uniform. I mean, he's gonna be with the Packers until he retires. I think. I don't know, but yeah, I think the safest bet is to just bet that he's gonna stay right there in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Yeah, I think they're gonna end up working that out. They're gonna end up working something out, man. They're gonna work it out. They're gonna work it out. They're gonna do something. All right. I think I'm off on my little thing here. So I'm gonna try and get where I'm supposed to go. All right, here we go. So I love this because you put in a rundown. The bridge is over. Who somebody put that in there? I love it.
Yeah,
Love
I did.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that.
How you know we not KRS One?
Oh,
Yeah,
shoot.
Yeah, from
yeah.
Pandora.
Is the All-Star game on life support? What's your thought? I mean, they had a drop in the viewership. I thought the slam dunk contest, uh, was your boy did his thing. Thought he'd bring. I don't know if that's a long term. I think there's some ideas around that, but um, I thought the game last year, the games before, they really started picking it up in the fourth quarter, a little bit more competitiveness. It just didn't seem like they got to that competitive state as soon as they did the past couple of years. It seemed like this one kind of drug a little bit late with it. But Darnell, you put this up there. What are your thoughts? And I'll go to Hammer.
Man, it's awful. The whole thing is
My man.
Mac McClung. He did what he was supposed to do. I mean, if you knew who Mac McClung is, you knew what he was going to do. This guy, he went viral 5 years ago when he was in high school. So he's not. Everybody saying he's a new name. He's not a new like. Most people, not most people, but the well, the younger internet generation, we've seen Mac McClung do dunks like he did when he was in high school. So we knew he was going to show up and show out, and he did his thing. And I want to give him his respect, but the lack of star power in the dunk contest is it's been there for a while, and it's going to continue to diminish the interest level in it, and that showed in the TV ratings. I mean, I think they said it was the lowest TV rating for the All Star game in, I think it said ever that I saw. I'm not sure if that is
Mm.
necessarily correct, but I wouldn't doubt it. But and I think I know who to blame. I think I had that as the next question, but I don't know if I'll wait on that if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll get that. I mean, Hammer, what are your thoughts generally?
They should shut down the game like the Pro Bowl, man. The NFL. It's just, I mean, I was looking at nobody plays no defense anymore. I mean, it's just like it's not even a scrimmage. I mean, they even play on the playground. They play some defense. They ain't playing defense. They don't even try to play defense. It's literally people dribble up to the 3 point line. It's the worst game I've ever seen. And really, like I said, I hate to talk about the old days. I'm gonna talk about All-Star games back in the 80s and 90s were brilliant. I mean, they had great defense. They were playing hard.
They're real
And
games.
yeah, and real bigs, precisely. And you have this now where literally they're just shooting threes. It's like a 3 point shooting contest almost. And then you look at Giannis Antetokounmpo, you're gonna take a dunk and then lead the game. I mean, it's embarrassing now. They should stop playing. There's no effort out there. As far as the slam dunk contest goes, I mean, you got Mac McClung got cut by the Bulls. So you clowning by him. Come on now, this guy got cut by the Bulls. This guy couldn't even make a team that lost their best point guard. So this guy, all he can do is do show and dunk. I mean, where's LeBron? I mean, all these guys that are the marquee don't want to dunk anymore because they want to hurt their brand. But the dunk contest is whack, man. Well, you had Kenyon Martin. I mean, come on, you had guys who were basically scrubs who were dunking. That's basically you had. And so that's the thing that this has become, again, just a debacle, like I like to say, of basketball, a debacle. And they
Now,
just
I'm
stopped
I'm
this
I'm gonna, I'm
mess.
gonna take another look at the All Star Weekend. Look, if you've never been to the NBA All Star Weekend, it is the best weekend event in sports that you will ever go to. In terms of the entire weekend experience, nothing like the NBA All Star Weekend. If you've never been to it, go. They'll never shut that thing down because of everything that happens outside of it. You can't. If anybody who's ever been to an NBA All Star Weekend will listen to this and say blasphemy. Now, for the game, we got to do some more work. The weekend, it's one of them weekends. Maybe we got to figure out how to get RSG in the building so we can experience it. But man, I still remember going to NBA All Star Weekend way back in the day. and just the experience of the entire weekend, and they do even more now. So they're going to have to figure out how to fix it now. I think Stephen A. Smith might be on to something about the, and I'll give him credit about the Nationals kind of slam dunk contest with some sponsorships from players because of Mac. We know there's cats out there, if you put the money right, to really make that kind of a nice event. I think the 3-point shooting contest is nice. The skills thing feel like, I don't know if you old soap opera people, but when your soap opera starts to get weird, that's what the skills thing felt like. It had caught a little space and it was the right thing. Then they seemed like they started adding some other complexity to it that took it past whatever the skills thing was supposed to be. It's like when I used to watch One Life to Live, and all of a sudden they were doing some stuff with outer space. I'm like, how did my soap opera end up out of space? The skills thing, I don't know where they're going with that. 3-point shooting contest, I like it. Slam dunk contest, you can build it in. We talk about fault. I know where you're going to go because I agree with folks about where I think it all went wrong. And so I'll let you.
I think I'm gonna take it somewhere there where you're not gonna go.
Well, it was always built by the stars, and it was a rite of passage for stars. That's why Kobe knew he had to do it, right? They all knew they had to do it, and then LeBron did do it. And at first, he was kind of teasing everybody every year, and then he just got too old where you knew he wasn't going to do it. And I think it did lay the tracks. I always used to wonder why, and I finally got it because Wendy said something about, because I didn't remember this. I guess because LeBron came in at 18, the year before he had been in a slam dunk contest, right? I guess he won, but he didn't perform as well. And so I think his confidence, like, maybe this ain't the kind of event I could really exploit. And then they said he didn't get his first year, he didn't get the All-Star team, and so they wanted him in, and he kind of pushed back on it and then never did it. But LeBron is like he broke the chain. If you think about it, Mike did it, Kobe did it. It was just natural LeBron was going to do it, and he didn't do it. And I think people are opting out of things, and you got to have the stars. I mean, when Levine did it, I mean, that was next level. So I think there's still dunks out there if you get the right. I love to see Ja. I love to see Mac and Ja. I think they should make it under. I think they should make it under like 6'5". Get away from the big guys. Maybe it's a slam dunk for people 6'5" and under, 6'6" and under.
The real dunk contest is Ja versus Zion.
Zion ain't gonna never dunk, man. He can't stay healthy. You know about stay healthy. He can't stay healthy. Goodness.
South Carolina in the house. I
That's
think
true.
if you had Zion, Ja, and Matt, ooh.
I bet you Zion got some of this contract, but he can't do dunk. I bet you.
Who?
Shaden Sharp.
Yeah.
Oh, Shaden
Sharp is he's a baby Vince Carter. If you watch him, she was talking about just a style of athleticism.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
He has a
I think you got to cultivate it that way and get the right. It's almost like matchmaking, and make the money right. Right? Matchmake, get the right mix. You got that mix. If that group dunk was out there next year, everybody was healthy. Now we back to the old days. And so you need somebody. You almost need to put somebody in charge. Maybe put Kenny in charge of going to get those guys. You got to find somebody who cultivating and put together and give them the right money. I still think the dunk contest will be right. You just got to get the right people in the mix. And the skills competition, I'm not quite sure about that one. I would almost rather see like a big 3 type of thing done or something, in that one where, it's like a 3-on-3. Maybe they play. I like to see something like that kind of thing. But that weekend, man, they ain't shutting that weekend down. Y'all, we're going to have to do it. We got to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
They're going to never shut that weekend down. That is the best weekend in sports. I'm just going to tell you flat out. It's one of the best weekends in sports. That's why the cats probably need 3 or 4 days off. It's who's who. Like, it's the only place you're going to find that level of who's who for like 3 days. Like, the kind of deals that get done over All-Star weekend because the right people in the right space, man.
And at the past, man, that's the past, man. You talking about the past, man. You talking about that?
No, that's
they ain't doing no deals in Salt Lake City.
That's the day. That's when they do all their stuff, man. I think
with no
you are
alcohol.
missing.
Come on,
That's they do all their stuff, man.
not in
They
Salt Lake City.
they do all
You
their
been to Salt
stuff.
Lake
Even
City?
in Salt Lake City, they made
You been to
Salt
Salt
Lake
Lake City?
City hot.
You been
Now
to
they
Salt
got
Lake
to pick
City?
locations. They
I've
got
been
to do
there.
better on these locations. But
Yeah.
they made Salt Lake City hot. Yeah, they made Salt Lake City hot. You know, so you know, Hammer. Don't knock it until you try it. You're gonna have one time on All Star Weekend. You're gonna say,
Nah,
"Brother,
I don't want to
you
say
are
his
right."
name, but a certain person who I don't like said it was a bunch of hedonism. That's the only thing I agreed with him with. I know it's
It's some
crazy out there.
hedonism probably, but this is it's a
Yeah.
lot of good energy, man. I never forget. I'll say this story. I went back way back in the day. I know it was '94 one, and man, Shaq was performing. Shaq came down. This is when Shaq was performing. So my guy, we were going up to, and you couldn't even get up. It was in Prince's Club, was a host club, and Shaq's coming down the stage. My guy bumps into Shaq, looks up. Shaq's on the way to stage. Shaq gets on the stage. His DJ, Shaq is killing it. I know, big guy, that cat, he was performing. And his DJ was mixing, and the cat was mixing and eating a bowl of cereal off. And I don't know how he did it. I mean, the performance happening. I mean, they had Bernie Mac performing. They had the whole thing. Like the energy in that space was, I mean, who's who? I was in the back room where they had a party for Shaq, Reebok. You had Naughty by Nature back there. You had Salt and Pepper. Like the who's who. Like everybody was in one space. I'm telling you, man, it ain't changed. It ain't changed. So they, for that reason, they're gonna figure it out. For that reason, they're not gonna do anything different. All right, y'all. We've been doing this format around dropping the mic because
Oh, so we're not gonna say who's at fault for the All Star.
I don't know who's at fault. Who's at fault, man? Who you say at fault?
Who's at fault? I know
Players.
it's gonna sound terrible. I'm not gonna sound terrible. You know, it's it's not gonna be what you think. The person who's at fault for the All Star game being the way it is Kobe, and
Mm.
it's gonna sound
Ah,
oxymoronic because it is right.
don't talk about Kobe when he's dead. Stop it. Stop it.
Well, I
Stop
didn't
it.
want to go
No,
in this line of
Stop it.
thinking.
Stop it.
Because
Stop
Kobe.
it. Shut this down. Shut this down.
No,
No, stop it.
you're gonna have to listen
That's
to me.
disrespectful.
You have to
Stop it.
listen to me.
Stop it. I want to hear it,
Kobe
man.
is the
Dude's dead.
reason why the All
This
Star
dude's
game
dead.
is the way it is
No, no.
because
You out order now.
it's
You
not
out order.
Kobe himself because Kobe
No, no,
himself he would show up and
no,
he would give it his all, but it's the idea of Kobe, right?
no,
The
bro.
idea of Kobe, the Mamba mentality,
Mm.
the only thing that matters is the championship. The only thing that matters is the chip. So what happens is the people that followed him, they bought in to the wrong thing. They bought into the only thing that matters is the chip, and that made everything else devalued. And that's why, and you've seen it especially in the media, where there you can't celebrate anything. The only thing you can celebrate is the championship, right? So now you go into you have these such things that are meaningless regular season games. Like in college football, you have meaningless bowl games. These things didn't exist back in the day, but now with this culture of that's supposed to be hyper competitiveness has bred the opposite of that, which is the lack of competitiveness. And that's why I say Kobe's at fault, even though, Kobe would have never let this ride. But it's the idea of Kobe. It's the idea of the Mamba mentality that job's not done. You say every time anything happens, job's not. Everybody tries to copy Kobe. Job's not done. Job's not finished. You can't celebrate anything. So now they're like, oh, why should I care about the All Star game if it's not the championship? Why should I not care about the dunk contest if it's not the championship? Why should I care about Tuesday night against the against the Indiana Pacers if it's not the championship? That's the disease that has infected the National Basketball Association.
I was wondering where you're going for that, but you landed that plane. And what I would say is, to build on that is that those guys would compete in twiddlywinks. Like if it was on a bus, right? You think about Kobe, Mike, a lot of these guys, they competed in everything. Like, you know, Bird coming in and asking everybody who's going to playing for second, never taking his top off to win the 3-point contest. Like they believe in dominating. Anytime we're gonna have the lights on, I'm gonna dominate. And we are missing that part of it. Like I'm not gonna let you win any. Like I'm gonna show like Jordan was in he was in a 3-point contest. Now Mike knew damn well he should have been in a 3-point contest, but Mike believed he could probably win that. He wasn't gonna just let his teammates have that 3-point contest. Mike was gonna try and prove he could shoot the three, right? It wasn't afraid to fail. So there's something about that. Like the lights are on. I have an opportunity to show that I'm good at whatever it is they good, and you don't see enough guys stepping up because they're afraid to fail, right? And that's the part that I can buy in a little bit because there's like a competitive piece that's missing in this space when this is an opportunity for you to really send a message to cats, and they don't even take that opportunity to do it. So you almost had me going somewhere, but I'm glad you land the plane.
That's
Say what
why.
you land.
That's why I told you going to listen because I'm gonna get there eventually. Get there.
You what? Hammer was about to Hammer was like, Grand open, Grand closed. We can't let you go down that line of questions. Hammer was about to turn he's about to turn his camera off. He's like, I'm not gonna be fine. Let me go, man. The look on your face, man, I almost fell out. You're like, no, he ain't going there. All right, we're gonna drop the mic. This is where we're gonna give our flowers. See, this is appropriate right here. We're gonna give our flowers to folks. And so I'll kick off. I'm gonna give flowers to this person because he doesn't get enough flowers. I listened to him this morning and realized, wow, this guy's good. Lewis Riddick, man, this is a brother. Now, people don't understand Lewis. Lewis is a great NFL analyst on ESPN, but he's also played in the league. He was a safety, played in the league, but he also was an executive in the NFL. He was scouts, kind of worked up through the ranks in different organizations. Has a really strong background. Should be a GM for somebody's team. But the way he today, when we're talking about, they're talking about Aaron Rodgers, and Lewis just has he understands what makes organizations work in ways a lot of people don't talk about it, and really was breaking down Aaron Rodgers in ways that were right on point, and the reasons why you might not move forward with him, but just remind me of like this guy is a jewel that we should appreciate. This cat knows his stuff inside and out. His perspective, I'm always loving it. Well thought out, and someone that should be on, GM, somebody's vice president for operations somewhere. But I just think that this is someone that we're just not paying attention to. Like this, I'm still perplexed that he's not the vice president for somebody's team. But Lewis, I'm gonna tell you right now, man, I listen to you, and I appreciate you. Anytime you're on, I'm gonna be listening to what you say. You know your stuff, man, but you know it beyond just the layers. You get deep into it. You understand the importance of relationships and how these businesses work. You really take people behind the curtain, man, and I appreciate you. All right. I'll go over to Hammer.
Shout out to Shams Charania. Really impressed by him, especially I didn't know he's a homeboy. He's from Illinois, so New Trier, Loyola. But this guy, 28 years old, I didn't realize. I thought he was much older than that. This guy, I think, is could be better than Wojciechowski. Because I mean, he's 28 years old. He's killing it. He went under Woj's wing before he went to Bally's and Andor, and I just am impressed by him. His expertise in the game. I'm impressed by the fact, Pakistani brother, somebody different, and bring a different perspective, and just bring the knowledge. And also, this guy, one thing, not to get political here, but I'm gonna bring this because this guy scooped our former president getting COVID and his wife. As not, maybe it was one of his Wizards contacts. I don't know, but this guy is brilliant. So watch out for Shams Charania. I always like my homeboys, but that's even better. But like I said, this guy's gonna be something special. 20 years old, sky's the limit for him.
Thank you for sharing that. And we'll end it with my man, the youngin, Darnell Kirkland.
All right, so I have to give my flowers to because Tuesday was the anniversary of his passing. El Haj Malik El Shabazz, aka Malcolm X. This guy was an example of growth, right? Because back, when he was in his younger days, he did go from Malcolm Little, and if you read his autobiography, Malcolm Little was a much different person than Malcolm X was, and he really showed us that we can grow. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be the same guy today that we were yesterday. He was a great activist, especially in the civil rights movement. He's a Pan Africanist. He was looking at issues abroad for African people, outside of America, throughout the world, and even human rights issues out in China and Asia. You know what I'm saying? So today, I want to give my flowers to the great Malcolm X. Rest in power.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll catch y'all on the other side.